Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest, Taylor Victoria. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Cody. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So for the listeners who don't know who you are and what do you do?
Yes. So as you said, my name is Taylor Victoria. I have recently launched a movement called She's Making Millions. We help women to make millions of dollars in their business because I truly believe that if more women had more money, the world would be a better place. No offense to the men out there. Like, you guys have been doing an okay job, but if anyone's watched the news recently, maybe we need some ladies in there to help with some of the things that are going on. So, trying to get more money in the hands of women to build a bigger impact around the world. But previously, I have run multiple businesses, started out originally living in Canberra, started my first business there, but I hated Canberra. I don't know, have you ever been to Canberra before?
I've done the roll down the Parliament House thing, but that's about it.
Okay, so living in Canberra when everyone is a public servant or a politician and being very entrepreneurial and thinking outside of the box, I never really felt like I fit in Canberra. And so I started my first business. I was making $600 a month. Moved to Bali to go all in on my business because I knew there was a lot of digital nomads and people living in Bali that were like in alignment with the people I wanted to surround myself with. But my rent alone in Bali was $700 a month. So from day one, I was like $100 worse off. I just had to hustle and hustle and hustle. And so I guess long story short, spent many, many years of hustling. Built one of my businesses to multiple seven figures, but I built it in a way that was just hustling and being exhausted and getting burnt out. And so that is a part of my mission now with She's Making Millions. And one of the reasons why I've started this movement is because not only do I believe the world would be better if more women had more money, but also I want to teach women to grow their business in a way that isn't just hustling 24/7, because that actually doesn't work with a woman's body and our cycle and all of that sort of stuff. So, that's sort of how I started out and how I got to where I am today.
Yeah, cool. What are some of the things that you've done to be able to build business going beyond the hustle and?
So I think the main thing is really, firstly, making sure that you're tracking your data. Because unless you track your data, you have to make decisions based off feelings and intuition. Whereas when you track your data, you can go, okay, the numbers are telling me that I have a bottleneck in marketing, or I have a bottleneck with my sales, or we're not converting enough leads into appointments, or whatever it is. But unless you're tracking the data, you have no idea what is actually going on. And a lot of women in business in particular, and small business owners in general actually, are very guilty of not tracking enough data. And so they're trying to do 100 different things at once. So I need to post on socials. I need to start a podcast. I need to hire a sales team. I need to hire an operations manager. But actually their biggest bottleneck might be that they have a bunch of leads coming in and their appointment setter isn't converting enough of those into actual appointments. And they're trying to hire an operations manager and start a podcast and do all of this other stuff. And so what we teach the ladies that come through our programs is to identify the one constraint that is actually holding their business back from growth by tracking the data. And then we just fix that one thing at a time. And we just go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And that allows you to not feel like you have to do 100 different things at once. You can actually just focus on one thing, and it makes it feel a lot less chaotic and hectic, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. What are some of the common constraints that people face off with in business then?
I would say the biggest one, especially that I've seen in my clients at the moment, is just with marketing. And especially for some of the older demographics, a lot of clients that I work with are older than me, and so they have a lot of fear around Facebook ads or creating content or doing organic outreach. It feels icky, or they're scared to show up online, or they're scared to be in front of the camera, or whatever it is. And so they're doing all of the other things. As I said, they're focusing on operations, they're focusing on their offer or fulfillment, or hiring other team members. And I'm like, you need to spend 90% of your time on marketing. Like, don't worry about this other stuff. Like, You need more leads. You can't if your business doesn't have leads and you don't have sales, you don't really have a business. And I think that's a very common thing that I see. People focus on what they're good at. And I'm so guilty of that as well. Like, I'm not saying that I'm this high and mighty being that never focuses on the thing that I shouldn't focus on. I'm guilty of it as well. We focus on what we're good at because we're good at it and it's comfortable. But we actually just need to make sure that we focus on if your business isn't making enough money, marketing and sales, because that's the only thing that's going to grow it.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of, you get conflicting advice. It's like double down on what your greatest strength is. Yeah. And it's also like, yes, double down on what your greatest strength is. But as you said perfectly, it's more about what's comfortable for you then rather than actually what grows the business. And most people fall into that trap of going, okay, cool, this is comfortable for me. This is easy for me. But what's not easy is showing up online. What's not easy for me is actually doing the marketing to be able to get the leads in so that then I can then convert them. Yeah. And most people create that internal identity of like, I'm just not a marketer. Yeah. How do you support people going beyond that story and narrative?
Yes. So it's funny, actually, I had a call with my clients this morning and we had to reset expectations because they've been letting their fears and their existing identity hold them back. And so we spent a whole hour really figuring out, first of all, if they're playing the game of business not to lose or if they're playing the game of business to win. And there's a very distinct difference between the two. If you're playing not to lose, you're not taking big bets on yourself. You're making very safe decisions. You're taking a little bit of action, but not that much action. You're maybe not doing anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. You're playing safe. You're not a marketer, so you just don't focus on the marketing, or you let your existing identity keep you in the same place. But if you're playing to win, that's a very different energy, right? Like if you're playing to win, you're hungry, you're taking massive and immediate action. You're realizing, okay, I'm not a marketer right now, but I can learn marketing. Like everything is figure outable. Or you might hire experts to help you. And so I think for the people listening who are saying, oh, well, I'm not a marketer, I'm not good at marketing, so I'm not going to focus on that. Okay, well, do you want to win or do you not want to win, right? Because most people in business are very highly competitive and ambitious, and sometimes they just need a bit of a kick up the butt to go, okay, well, at the moment you're playing not to lose, but you say you want to play to win. So we need to get your action in alignment with what you're saying, because that's exactly what was happening with my clients. They were saying they want to play to win, but then they weren't taking the action. So there's a misalignment between what they say they want to do and, like what you said, their identity holds them back, essentially.
Yeah. How do you balance that that dance between being hungry for the thing without falling into hustling?
Yes, it is a consistent battle because I'm so guilty. As I was saying before we started recording, I don't have kids. I don't understand how people that have kids can have a business at the same time, because I can't even barely fit in exercising and seeing my friends. I'm like, how would a kid even fit in here? But I think it's been one of my biggest lessons over the past year or two, because I did really get to a place where I was feeling so burnt out. I just felt like I hated my previous business. Yes, we were making a lot of money, but I had nearly 100 team members overseas in the Philippines. I had more responsibility than ever, but less freedom than ever. And that's why everyone starts a business, right? Is they want more time freedom, more financial freedom. They want to be able to travel the world, spend time with their kids, and have more money. And so I had more money, but way more stress and way less freedom. And so I really had to become intentional with carving out time in my calendar for fun things, carving out time to see family and friends, and being very strict with myself that, okay, if I've said that I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to Pilates, go to the gym and go to Pilates because you know it makes you feel good. And if you skip it, then you feel like shit for the rest of the day. Wait, am I allowed to swear on this
Yes,
podcast? Okay, good.
I thought that was going to be the question you were going to ask at the start. And you swear, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's go.
But yeah, I think it really comes down to actually scheduling into your calendar the things that do light you up and the things that do make you feel good. And then in between those things, like, let's go, let's take massive action when you actually are working, but make sure that we focus on the highest ROI activities. If you are going to be working, work super hard when you're working, and let's do what's going to move the needle the most. A lot of business owners that I talk to get stuck doing their admin and their scheduling, and they don't have like a basic executive assistant that you could pay $10 or $15 an hour someone overseas to help you. And I'm like, okay, if you're doing all of these things, you're valuing your time at $10 an hour essentially, because you could pay someone overseas $10 an hour. So if you still continue to do it, that means you value your time at $10 an hour. And so it's just about getting really, really clear on like what is going to move the needles, what is the priorities, and then scheduling time in between when you're working to have a break or to see your friends or to go to Pilates or whatever lights your soul up and makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I've definitely been on all parts of that journey. When I first met my partner, I used to, like, as soon as I'd wake up, I'd start work, go on, and then finish at, like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like easy hours as well. I remember when I was like 19, I used to work 2 jobs. So I'd work in an office all day, but then in a bar all night as well. So like on a Thursday night, I would finish work in the office at about 6 o'clock, and then I'd go straight into the bar and finish at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then get up, and I'd had the late start in the office. So that was like 10 a.m. on Fridays. So 10 till 7 p.m. and then straight into the bar again. So I understand the hustle season. And I definitely took some of that hustle into business in my early years as well. It's just like, all right, well, let's just get it done. Let's do what's required. And that's definitely one of the core things that plays out for people that play to win in business. It's like you just do what's required. You don't do what's comfortable. You do what's required. And in the season that I'm in, it's been very different because like today I have a pocket of time of like an hour before everyone wakes up to get work done. And then I'm parenting until like 10:30 or something today. So it's like 10:30 to 12:30 is like kind of my 2-hour window. And I'm a little bit nerdy with this because I unendingly like test certain windows of like when I can get the most done and all of these different things. And it took me a long time to be able to get to it. But what I determined was the most productive that I am is when I do like a 4-day work week. And there was a lot of science behind this. And I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. I can't get everything that I need to get done in 4 days. And then, you have kids. So it's like half of 4 days as well. But it comes back to that pillar around constraints. Like there's always going to be constraints. There's going to be constraints of like how many leads that you currently have, how much do you leverage those, how much time do you have, how much do you leverage that? How do you extract the maximum amount of value from what you already have based on the constraints that you're facing, time, money, all of those different things, but also based on like the marketplace. Because, if we're looking around right now, there's many, many things playing out, like cost of living is going up, so we're told all of the time. And it comes back down to how do we start to create that focus on what we have and leveraging what we have rather than falling into the trap of, it's one of the traps you'll probably see with a lot of the people that are playing not to lose is they're falling into the trap of, well, when I have more leads, then I'll be more successful. How do you support people to go beyond that paradigm of like, when I have this, then I can do that?
It's a big problem that I see with a lot of my clients when it comes to confidence in particular. When I achieve this certain result, then I'll feel confident. And I mean, it could be in relation to anything really, not just confidence, but I think the thing to remember, and especially with confidence, is that confidence is a byproduct of you taking the action. So the action has to come first before you get to the goal or the feeling or the feeling confident or becoming the person that you want to or whatever it is. You have to take the action first. And even if it's messy, even if it's chaotic and it feels like you are scared or you don't know what you're doing, you have to take the action first. And I think the key word that you said in all of that was leverage. You have to get leverage on your time. Again, I was talking about this with one of my clients this morning. She was saying she's working 6 days a week for 10 hours a day. She has barely any time to see her kids. She sees her kids 1 day a week. And she was saying, okay, well, if I'm going to be focusing on all of this stuff to grow my business, I'm going to have to just only sleep for 6 hours a night instead of 8 hours a night. And I might have to stop going to the gym. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's a terrible idea because you're going to get so burnt out and she's not going to be the best version of herself for her kids. Her mum, she's not going to be the best version showing up for her clients. And so I said to her, you need to focus on getting leverage on your time. So instead of trying to figure out how we can hack and get more time for you, maybe could we hire a casual person to help you 1 or 2 days a week to allow you to get more leverage back on your time, so then you have 2 days with your kids and a whole day to work on your business instead of in the business. And so I think leverage plays a big part of it as well, is trying to look at your schedule and exactly like you have, sort of hack and figure out when you can get the pockets and where you can get the pockets and what you can do in those little pockets of time that you can get to get the most leverage, because especially if you have kids, you don't get that much time. And so you have to make it mean the most for the energy that you're putting into it. You have to get the most leverage out of it, essentially.
Yeah, I love that. I remember it was allowing me to reflect. When I was working my longest hours, I was probably not sleeping enough, and I was like, right, I'm not going to get more sleep. I'm just going to work out how I can work more. You know, when you're young and dumb, you do all of those things. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try every different morning protocol to be able to get that. And the thing that I found that worked the best was like, if I did 15 minutes of binaural beats meditation, which is like different frequencies in each ear to be able to synchronize your hemispheres, then I would be able to have the same productivity as if I got 2 hours more sleep.
Interesting.
So at that time I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Life kind of had other plans for me to stop doing that, to recognize, most people have that paradigm of like, well, the more I work, the more results I'll get, but it's not the more results you get, it's just the faster you burn out. And going beyond that is recognizing that, growth in business comes from that leverage of starting to go, all right, well, if I couldn't work any more hours, what would I do differently in the hours that I have? Because that starts to allow us to be able to look at, okay, cool, what am I putting my time into right now? Am I actually getting the results from that thing? Or will I get the potential results from that long term? Because if you're starting a new skill set, I had someone that has an agency at the moment, and they're, doing relatively well, but they're like, oh, well, I've just started doing more content, but it's not getting me new clients yet. And it's like, well, you've been doing it for like a month. Like it's not going to have the exponential curve just yet because you're still on the learning curve part of that. And part of that is, how do we start to recognize what is the thing that is going to create massive results over a period of time and stay on that course rather than changing and going to shiny object syndrome of going from Facebook ads to TikTok ads to SEO to then putting ads into, I don't know if they're out yet, the AI ads. Yeah, ChatGPT. Do I put ads into that then? That's where people are hanging out. You stop falling into that and you start going, okay, cool. What is going to set me up for the next 3, 5, 10, 15 years that is going to actually create the legacy that I'm here to create? And that's why I love about what you're doing in terms of creating the movement around that, because to create a movement, you have to have this longer term vision beyond like what's playing out here, beyond the current circumstance. Yeah. So what's been the thing that's come up for you in starting to create that movement in terms of what you faced off with?
In terms of like what I've struggled with?
Yeah.
The thing that keeps me up at night, the only thing that's coming to mind, the thing that keeps me up at night is just how can we get our clients more, better, bigger results? And you may find this with some of your clients. It's really been a big learning lesson for me in the past 6 months or so since we launched, is you can lead a horse to water and it can be the biggest trough of water and it can be the most delicious water that horse could have ever tasted. But if that horse does not drink the water, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one thing that I do really struggle or has been a biggest struggle so far is I'm so passionate and I want to change this women's lives for the better. But sometimes you can give people all the tools, resources, knowledge that you have. You can lead them to the water, but if they don't take the action and if they don't implement it, then there's actually not much that you can do. So at a certain point, as a coach or a mentor or a consultant, or for the people who are in your audience who are probably resonating with this, you do just have to let go of control a little bit, or look at your offer and go, okay, yes, we could have an offer where we can teach them what to do. Can we have done for you services on the back end to actually just do it for them? So that's what I'm looking at building out at the moment. But yeah, we have a goal. I want to help 10,000 women make over $1 million in their business. And I'm like, guys, if you're not taking the action, like how can I help you do this? I can't help you if you're not doing the do. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest thing so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of paradigm that I journey a lot is so we have like the transformation side of the business, and that attracts a lot of more spiritual people, and they're often quite traumatized by hustle culture. So it's that dance of being able to get people to take the action required without actually then falling into the extreme over there that we talked about earlier of like that actual hustle culture of like, just get it done. You have to do it. Just make it happen. More hours.
I would teach them about the theory of constraints.
Yes.
and just focusing on one bottleneck at a time, because that's been massive for my clients.
Yeah.
Is just, focusing on the one thing at one time.
Yeah, 100%. What resources do you recommend for people to be able to learn more about that?
About the theory of constraints?
Yeah.
I first learned about it from Alex Hormozi when I went to the first ever workshop that he did at his acquisition.com headquarters, which was really cool. And so he talks a lot about it. There's a lot of YouTube videos that he's put out about the theory of constraints. And there's also a really good book called, I'm just trying to remember what it's called. It's called The Goal by Elijah. His last name maybe starts with C. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out afterwards. We can put it in the show notes.
Yeah. The team will just put it straight in the show notes because I don't remember the author either.
Yeah.
I read the book.
Yes.
I'm like, what's the name of that book again?
Yeah. So that's a really great book because it gives a real life example of a guy who manages a warehouse and he has to get the warehouse to be more efficient. And so they think initially the constraint is this, but then they figure out, oh no, it's actually not that, it's this. And you hear from all the team members, his leadership team members as well, like how they're problem solving, what they're thinking about to try and figure out the constraints. And so that was really helpful as well. Those are probably the two things, is like Alex Hormozi videos and The Goal by
that guy.
We'll figure out who.
What's been a time in your business that you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
I think it was actually recently. Well, okay, there's two things that come to mind. One is when I had my first business and I just was like, fuck Canberra, I'm moving to Bali. I'd never lived out of home before. I was like 22. I just finished uni. I had like $1,500 savings and my business was making $600 a month. And my mum was horrified that I was moving to a third world country. With her little baby was moving away and like it was a whole thing. But that was really scary because, as I said, I'd never even lived out of home before and I was moving to a different country to go all in on my business. And there were days where I literally was like, I don't have enough money to buy food. And if you've been to Bali, you can get local food very cheap in Bali for like 50 cents. And there were days where I would just have 2 meals instead of 3 because I couldn't afford to buy 3 meals. That's probably the first one that comes to mind. But then more recently, I would say the decision to not focus on my outsourcing agency anymore, which was making over 7 figures. It on paper was incredibly successful. but it was just not lighting me up. I was so stressed, like having nearly 100 staff members overseas to be responsible for, working with a lot of small business owners as well that aren't very good with people management, don't have good systems, don't have good processes. My stress levels were just insane. And so the decision to step away from that and to focus on She's Making Millions and go all in on that vision, which had been in the back of my mind for many years, but I just thought, no, well, I have this really successful business. I can't not do this business because I've put so much time, energy, effort into it. What is that called? There's a name for that. The sunk cost fallacy or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you've put so much time and energy and effort into something that you don't want to walk away from it because you don't want to miss out on everything that you've put into it. That I had that. And so the decision to actually walk away took me probably 12 to 18 months to finally go, no, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was just like a weight lifted off my shoulder once I did it. But it honestly probably took me about 18 months to make the decision because I was so scared of just like, what am I doing? People are going to think I'm crazy. Like I think I'm crazy. So that was definitely a big sort of scary moment that I had to overcome recently.
Yeah, I love that. It's very much one of those moments that we gotta all kind of have to face off with as well, because you recognize what's created all of your success today gets to a certain point, but then you have the opportunity to be able to step into like an entirely new timeline where everything is so much bigger, more powerful, and it's going to be an entirely different legacy based on, you know, what's mostly alive for you, because that's the thing that is the destroying part. It's like, yeah, you can continue to run that business. Yeah, you can continue to have that offer as a coach, but if it's no longer lighting you up, it's like, well, it's only going to feel worse and worse over a period of time. And getting to that point of recognizing that, all right, well, you know, there's this new possibility here. How do I make that jump? What would you say to someone who's in that place where they recognize that there's something that they know they're here to be able to create, but they're still on the edge over here of leaning on all of the success that they've created based on what they've been doing in the past?
That's a really good question. The first thing that comes to mind is, as I mentioned, like the weight that gets lifted off your shoulders once you actually make that decision, because I could almost guarantee that it's weighing them down. Like they feel very conflicted at the moment and they're like, oh, I've got this thing or I've built my success this way, but I really am so passionate about over here. And so it weighs you down, the lack of decision. And so once you finally make the decision, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. But also imagine if you do run towards the thing that lights your soul on fire, you're going to have so much more drive, ambition, passion, energy to put towards that, instead of doing something that you've been doing for ages and you just continue to build up more and more resentment towards it to eventually you'll get to the point where you feel like you hate the business. Like I've got to that point where I was like, I hate this business. I don't want to do the sales calls anymore. I don't want to manage the team. Like I'm just done. I'm out. I cannot do this anymore. And so I think that's the second thing is you will find this amazing spark and energy and you'll feel reinvigorated if you do actually go towards what you're passionate about. Because if you stay in the old thing, you're just going to build up the resentment and the anger.
What do you say when you see someone in the looping of that though? They're like right on the edge. They know what the path is, but they're not making that jump because, you know, you can often see it as the coach, as the person that's supporting them. But how do we support them through that without
kicking them off the edge? Sometimes people just need a kick. But I mean, if I was talking to someone and they were trying to make that decision, I would simply just ask them, like, what does the highest version of you, who's living fully in alignment with what you know you're supposed to be doing in your life, what decision would they make? And it's always to go towards what they're passionate about. It's like, okay, cool. Well, let's just move towards that. there's going to be maybe have to be a couple of hard decisions over here that we have to make, or a couple of hard conversations. And so let's have those hard conversations. We let ourselves feel shit about it for a little while. I always give myself a time limit of how long I'll feel shit for. You have to fire some team members, or you have to let some clients go, or whatever it is. Okay, cool. You have the conversations, you feel shit about it for 24 hours, and then you move on because you've actually made a decision that, yeah, okay, it's shit for them, but it's so much better for you. So yeah, I just really figure out what their highest version of themselves would do, figure out what are the hard things that they need to do to make this other thing go away, or not necessarily go away. Like with my agency, it's still running. I still have a lot of clients and a lot of staff, but we scaled it back and I got rid of a lot of team members, and that was difficult. But now I have a business that we still make like $900,000 a year, and I work for an hour a week in that business. And I get to focus all of my time on my other business. So yes, our income dropped a little bit, but we're still making like good money considering I work for an hour a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was hard to let go of the team members and to scale things back. But now I'm so happy and I'm so passionate. And I was saying to my partner the other day, I said, babe, can you believe this? Over like 18 months ago, for the past 5 years, we were talking about how my only goal in life was to have a business where I could run events and I could help impact people and make the world a better place. And that's like what I've wanted to do for the past 5 to 6 years. And even up until 18 months ago, I wasn't doing that. And I was just reflecting upon the fact that like, holy crap, I'm actually living my dream. Like this was my dream. And now I just made a decision one day and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And then I just did it. And so it's so freeing and so fun and exciting when you actually get to the point where you are living out your dream, or you're doing the thing that gives you the most passion and fulfillment. It's a very great place to be. I would highly recommend for anyone listening.
Yeah. What do you see as the next version of the dream then that you're stepping into now?
Yeah, so we just decided like 3 or 4 days ago we're going to start. Previously we've done smaller events with like 50 to 100 people. We've decided we want to go all in and do a conference at the end of this year. I haven't told anyone yet, so I don't know, when is this episode getting released?
Couple more weeks. You got a couple of weeks to sort it out.
Because I want to create a whole like social media thing about like the announcement and blah, blah, that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've decided we're going all in. We're going to run a 2-day conference towards the end of this year. That's like our next level. Because I was thinking, okay, how can we level this up even more? Because now that I'm running events and I've like achieved the thing, I'm like, how can we go bigger? How can we go better? So we've decided we're going to run a conference. The goal is to get 500 women from all around Australia, some of the best speakers on business that are women from all around Australia, fly everyone in and help everyone figure out how they can make millions of dollars.
Love it.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the number of getting 10,000 women to do it? Why that number?
Someone asked me this recently. I just picked it. This is just a random number. I was thinking about 1,000 and I was like, that feels too easy.
Too easy. Fuck it.
So then I was like, fuck it. Let's just go to 10,000. That's like the next, because 5,000 sounds weird. So it was like either 1,000 or 10,000. Like 5,000 just sounded weird. So literally there's no reasoning behind it. But also like I wanted a number that was juicy enough that like I can work towards that for a long time and like feel like it's not just something I can achieve. Like if I did 100, I'm like, okay, well, I could probably do that in a couple of years. But if I do 10,000, I'm like, that's juicy. That's like a life mission. I wanted it to be something that I could like really sink my teeth into for a long time and make a big impact. So, yeah.
How important do you think purpose is to your life?
I would say one of the most important things. I'm very, very driven by purpose, and it wasn't actually until I started making a lot of money that I realized, oh, money is nice too. Because previously I was one of those people that I was like, oh, I just want to help people. I don't care about making money. And so I would undercharge and I would not get people to pay me for the value that I was giving them. But purpose is incredibly important. Even for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to make the world a better place. Even since I was little, I wanted to adopt kids instead of having real kids because I thought there's enough people in the world, like there's enough kids that need a good home to go to. Why would I have my own? I'll just adopt. And so I've always, like, throughout my life wanted to do things to impact people and make the world a better place. Even found these drawings in a journal the other day from when I was like 12. I have this whole vision for a farm that I want to have. And so I have a layout of the farm on the page and I have all the animals with their names. But then in the horses shed up the top above the horses, we have a whole like little house that we can have homeless people in, that we can help to rehabilitate homeless people and help them find jobs and like get them back into society. I drew this when I'm like 12.
Yeah.
Like, so weird now looking back on it, but it's just always been something that I've just always wanted to help people and make the world a better place. So purpose and impact is very, very important to me. Yeah.
I love that. What's been something that you faced off with? You know, when you're the face of a movement, then you know that comes with a whole list of benefits and drawbacks. What's been the thing that you faced off with that being the face of the movement?
Good question. It's funny actually. So we only just recently started getting hate comments on our videos on TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
And I have such a great relationship with hate comments because I'm like, yes, we've made it. Like, we're getting hate comments and my team's like, oh, we're getting hate comments. Oh my God. And I'm like, no guys, don't worry. It's fine. If we're getting hate comments, it means we've made it. But I think there's pros and cons to that, right? Like, yeah, okay, it means that you've made it, but also people are misinterpreting what you're saying or they think that you have ill intentions. So an example, I teach my students how to implement a money management system called Profit First. And so basically you have different buckets that your money gets split into. And the first bucket that you put money into is profit, because oftentimes business owners, especially small business owners, they have all of the expenses come out and they pay everyone. And then at the end of the month, they hope that there's profit left over. And that's never, ever the case usually, especially in small business if you're growing and scaling. So I teach my clients to allocate profit first. Do you know the amount of hate comments we are getting online for me saying that you need, as a business owner, you need to allocate your profit first? You're so rude. How could you say that people are supposed to pay their staff last? Your problem with society, like people are blowing up just for such a tiny little thing that I'm saying, like allocate your profit first. And I'm like, guys, we're not running charities here. Like we're not running these businesses so that we can make no profit and give all of the money to our employees. Yes, we want to pay our employees and make sure they're compensated well, but also as the business owner, like we're not having all of this extra stress and time that we have to work and hardship in our lives that sometimes businesses can cause for nothing. We want to make a profit. And so I think that's probably the main thing that I've found so far is just the hate comments that you get, and not that I'm that bothered by them, but just people misinterpreting what you say or thinking that you have bad intentions. When I'm like, if you knew me, you would know that I don't have any bad intentions at all. Like I just want to help the whole world to be a better place. And people just can take that the wrong way because they see a little snippet from a podcast or whatever and they just get all upset about it. Everyone gets upset about everything these days.
I love it. Yeah, Profit First is a great system.
Yes.
You know, that the statement that sums it up is profit is a habit, it's not a result.
Yeah.
And when you take profit as a habit, then it's always there. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that plays out for people is especially showing up online. You know, the first level of it is often, you know, showing up online and then showing up at events and then showing up in the media, all the different levels of showing up. And the thing that stops most people is that misinterpretation or misunderstanding wound that kind of plays out because although you can have the greatest intentions, people, when they get a snippet of something, then they're going to make their opinion up based on, you know, what they're journeying internally. And when the irony is when someone's not putting themselves first, then what's going to happen is they're going to have to project on people online for all of those things, because it forces them to be able to look at themselves to go, oh, okay, cool. Well, where am I not actually putting myself first? Am I putting everyone else before me? Where am I putting my business before me? Yeah. Because most people fund their business because they're like, oh, but I'm growing the business. It's like, well, yes. And why did you get into business? Yeah, it's an interesting dance. How do you get people to start that kind of process? Because so many people that get into business are completely oblivious to that. They're running their business from a place of helping people, but they're creating patterns which unendingly put more money into fueling the business rather than actually ever taking profit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I really try to help my clients understand the difference between having a business that's a high-paying job and having a business that's an income-producing asset. And especially for women, because women actually haven't been allowed to own businesses for that long. Like, it's only been 50 years, which is insane. In my mum's lifetime, like when she was a kid, women were not allowed to have businesses. So obviously it makes sense. Like, we haven't been doing it as long. We don't necessarily have as many other women that we can pull resources from and all of that sort of stuff. And so I just completely forgot the question. I'm so sorry. What was the question? How did I forget that quickly?
How do you get people to start profit first? How do you get people to start profit first?
Yes. Yeah. And so a lot of women will treat their business as a high-paying job, where they maybe start the business because they're really passionate about it. They feel the purpose. They want to make an impact. And they don't understand that when you actually build it in a way that makes it an income-producing asset, that gives you the ability to completely change not only your life, but your kids' life and your whole family's lives if you can get it to a point where you can have a successful exit in the future. But if you only ever build it like a high-paying job, where you're not paying yourself that much, you've got a few team members to help you, but not that many, you don't have systems, processes, you don't have money management things in place so that it's actually profitable, then if you want to sell it, it's not going to be a sellable asset, right? Or heaven forbid, if something goes wrong and someone gets sick, or you need to move overseas for something, or whatever might happen, if you haven't built it in a way that makes it an income-producing asset, then you're not actually going to be able to sell it. And so I really help people to sort of see the difference between what it looks like when you are building your business as a high-paying job versus an income-producing asset. And I show them the difference of what could be possible if we got a few different things in place over on this side, and we increase their profit a little bit. We look at the valuation potential of their business with what it currently is versus like if we were to potentially double their profit, implement systems, a leadership team, an automated marketing machine. Those three things plus doubling their profit can like 5-7x the multiple of the business depending on the industry that it's in. And if they do want to exit, that's like life-changing money in comparison to a lot of women in business or even smaller business owners. If something happens and goes wrong, they just have to shut their business down. They can't sell it because it's not an income-producing asset. It's a high-paying job. So yeah, that's how I try to help people realize.
Yeah. How do you create that shift for people? Most people are ingrained into focusing on growing top-line revenue rather than profit, and they. It's both like men and women that kind of plays into as well, because we are mostly as a society conditioned into get a good income or a good job and go from there. But most people who think about growth of their business think about it in terms of growth of like top line revenue. Yeah. How do you shift it from top line revenue or even just sales to profit?
Yeah. So top line revenue is just a vanity metric. Like it's just something that you can talk about online and makes you sound good, but you can have a business that has a lot of top line revenue. Like my old agency, we pair business owners with staff in the Philippines. So it's not like you can charge high ticket for that, right? People know that you can get VAs in the Philippines for $7 to $10 to $12 an hour. So it's not like we could charge a lot. So we had very low margins in that business. So we're making over $1 million a year, but I was more stressed than ever and barely making any profit at all.
Yeah.
I would much rather have a $500,000 per year business and make $250,000 a year profit and have $1 million per year and make $100,000 profit. And so I think just helping map that out for people of what it would look like if we maybe changed up their offer or got them into a more profitable industry or model, map it out for them of what's possible. And then if they are in a low profit business model at the moment, like they probably are already feeling the stress of running a low profit business model. So having that conversation with them will hopefully help them to realize that they need to increase their profits and the benefits of doing it. But yeah, also sometimes, like we said earlier, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So
yeah, I love that. One of my favorite things to look at with that is I think it was Daniel Priestley who talks about it most. It's like revenue per employee.
Yeah.
And when you look at that metric, it starts to really shift how you relate to business. Because if you look at all of the tech companies, they're hyper profitable because often it's like $1 million per employee, even though they have hundreds of thousands of employees. And when you look at an agency-based business, it's like, well, revenue per employee is quite low. Yeah. So stress is massively high. And the same thing plays out in like coaching businesses. I remember, people come to me and they're like, oh, we've got 30 people on the team. And I'm like, why? Because they're just playing into that, their vanity metrics, because the first vanity metric is like top line revenue. And then the second one is team members. It's like people hang their hat on how big the business is, but unconsciously most of the time they're communicating how much stress that they've got, because it's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. What's the profit that you're taking out of it? Yeah. And most people don't look at the different phases, because when you're doing that kind of that point that you pointed to before, which is like if you're doing between $300,000 and $700,000, you can quite easily take 50% profit from that.
Yeah.
In any kind of service-based business. And people don't recognize that as soon as you start to go above that, then the profit percentages change, and you got to change the structure of the business to be able to make it work. And people, the amount of times where I've worked with 7-figure coaches and they're like, all right, so I want to go to eight figures. And it's like, well, that's going to be shit for the next 3 years based on the team members that you're going to hire for that to be able to create the infrastructure for it to actually create that, because you don't have the audience or the depth in terms of what you're creating for that. You're going to take the long, slow, hard path, or you could probably just get to 30% profit margin at $3 million, and it's going to be a much more enjoyable business than probably taking the same profit when you get to 8 figures. Yeah. But most people don't start with that frame of reference. So how do you shift people's mindset to start looking at what's going to allow them to have a business that feels good rather than looks good?
I haven't really encountered that many people that I've had that problem with, to be honest, because I think actually for a lot of women, because all of my clients at the moment are women, they actually struggle with the opposite problem of they cannot even fathom them. Like the idea of them making $1 million for some people is so unfathomable, or even getting to 5 million, and no one's even considered 10 million. And so I actually more often face the opposite problem, where it's trying to open up people's minds to what is possible. I haven't encountered that many people that want to get to 10 million and they're not considering the profit margins and that sort of stuff. So I feel like I don't have a very good answer for that one. Sorry, because I haven't encountered that many people that have been in that situation. I also encounter the opposite, where they just don't have the vision, or they can't see themselves even making $5 million, because it's just not even, they have no references to pull from. They don't know anyone that's making $5 million, and it seems so big and crazy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How do you get people to shift their paradigm on that as well? Because as an example, I had a client today and she's like, oh, I don't know if I can really make $25K a month. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't know why I wanted to stop at 25K a month. I thought we're just going to go straight to 50. You've got the audience for 50K a month. You've got the skills. You've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in yourself in personal development. Why are we stopping here when you have the skills and the capabilities, the audience to be able to go here straight away? How do you shift people's paradigm in terms of them going, oh, I don't know if that's possible for me?
So oftentimes the mindset shift that I have to help my clients make, because they feel guilty making a lot of money, or it comes back to, I feel like I'm not worth it. I don't deserve that much money. And so the shift that I have to help them, or the frame that I use to help them realize that no, actually making a lot of money is a good thing, is based on impact and purpose, like we were talking about before of, okay, well, at the moment you're making $25,000 a month and you've got 50 clients or however many clients they have. If you were to get to $100,000 a month, you could be impacting 1,000 clients a month. And like, you would imagine the lives that you could change. And like, a lot of my clients are very purpose driven. And a lot of the people that I talk to are very purpose driven, I think, because I'm purpose driven. So this is the people that are around me. And so just reminding them that more money equals them being able to impact more people. And that's what lights people up, and that helps them to go, oh yeah, okay, damn, okay, yeah, let's go towards the 100,000 per month, because then imagine I could impact 1,000 new people per month, or I could help this many people per month. And so I just bring it back to whatever I know they value the most. So it's a lot easier with clients that you work with ongoing than maybe someone you've just initially met, because you obviously then you know what they value. Some people value money and they're like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's make $100,000 a month. Like, I want more money. And other people value impact. So then you use that lens to help them realize. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would definitely be something that you would kind of face off with a lot more with your clients as well. Cause it's like $1 million women.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, as soon as you create an offer which is result based on a specific income, then you start to attract a certain market. Whereas if you label it based on an identity of who they become, then it creates an entirely different market. And, you know, the best offers out there for most people is where they have the combination of both. And you're almost in that spot where it's like you're getting the result of $1 million, but you're also becoming a $1 million woman at the same time.
Correct.
And how do you get people to shift how they frame their offers so that it becomes able to speak to multiple different people based on how they like to buy?
Yeah. So when we're designing their offers, I have like deep dive studied on the Hormozy method of offers. So this is the method that I teach my clients, and I've got a couple of little changes that we made in there. But essentially, when you're designing your offer, you need to think about, with all of the inclusions and the bonuses and the guarantee, like there's certain things that you need to do when you're designing it. And then the messaging that aligns with them, with the offer that you've created, needs to speak to people's false beliefs, the objections that they might have, the financial goals that they have, the identity that they want to step into. So you can incorporate that with the bonuses that you offer. You can incorporate it not only with like the outcomes and the transformation that you talk about, but all of the messaging and the marketing and everything that you're putting out there. So you definitely want to make sure, especially if you're making income claims, you also need to speak to the identity that people will step into, because a lot of people value who they become, not just the money. And sometimes people value that more. And so you have to make sure when you are designing your offer that you put both of it in there, with all of the bonuses and the guarantees and the scarcity and the urgency and the messaging and the transformation and everything that you do. Both of them should be incorporated into both. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the thing that you found working the most in the marketplace at the moment in your business?
In regards to
growing the business?
We're just focusing on meta ads. Yeah. Just good old faithful meta ads. We're doing a lot of other things, but that's the main paid channel that we're doing for our to generate leads. We still do our own podcast, and we're creating content, and we share everything across all social platforms, but in terms of actually growing the business and getting more leads, we're just focused on meta ads at the moment. In the future, we might expand to other channels, but that's the main thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, podcasts are great in terms of getting new people into the ecosystem, but often, you know, the ads are the thing that gets them into the event. So it's a combination of those things. And most people don't look at their client acquisition as the ecosystem that it is. They're just like, oh, I just do this thing over here, or I just do content, I just do this, rather than seeing it as the ecosystem of how people actually start to meet you, find out about you, and actually start to warm up to you, and then actually then go through the process of actually working with you. And, you know, in-person events are one of those things that just allow people to go so deep so quickly. They can buy a low ticket thing to be able to come to an event, to be able to then go straight to a high ticket offer on the back end within like a day. What do you recommend for people when they're starting to think about running events in their business?
In terms of their marketing and how they market it? So I would definitely suggest having a podcast and running ads. So what we do is, because we've essentially figured out we can convert the best people that we can convert, they come from an ad, they listen to podcasts, or they watch mini courses in our school community, and then we convert them at the live event. So we've included in our email nurture sequences, like once they see the meta ad, they opt in for the event, we deliver them email nurture sequences with podcast episodes. We do text messages to them. We find them on Instagram and Facebook, and we follow them. We try to chat to them, like build a relationship with them essentially between the event. And then at the event, obviously, they spend the whole day with us and we convert them from there. So I would highly suggest incorporating meta ads with some sort of long form content, whether it's a podcast or YouTube, so that even before the event, they feel like they actually already know you because they've listened to your content and they've spent however many hours with you. Like the more hours that you can get someone to spend with you before the live event, the better, because then it increases your chances of converting them at the event. And especially if you do want to offer a high ticket offer at your free event, you have to do stuff like that to try and increase the conversion rate and increase the trust factor that people have with you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Daniel Priestley talks about that a lot with his stuff as parasocial relationships. It's like the relationship that they develop with you, which is one-sided because they're going through all of your content all of the time. And, you know, if they've been through 7 hours of content, then they're more likely to buy before they come to the event. And, you know, for a long time, we kind of messed that up. We would just have like cold traffic into events and stuff like that. And you get a certain number of people who work with you, but then you don't get the high ticket buyers from that. You get them going on the journey for it. And a lot of the shifts that occur is how we actually start to shift our relationship between, you know, someone who's just met us to someone who's binged on our content and been through a lot versus someone who comes to an event and then someone who's actually already been through one of our lower level programs as well. How does someone shift their relationship to client acquisition to having it less time dominant and more system based?
I love this question. And this is what I teach to all my clients is we need an automated marketing machine. I do not want you involved in every step of the sales process and the marketing, all of the stages that your clients go through, because then you become the constraint, you become the bottleneck. So the more that we can introduce systems into your marketing and into your sales, the bigger we allow your business to grow without it being reliant on you, without you being the bottleneck. So we use Go High Level, which I'm sure everyone listening has heard of. Everyone knows Go High Level. And so we have automated as many steps of the process as possible. We've even got AI that does qualification text messages for us. We've built in all of our email nurture sequences. We've got automated reminders for the team to call people and text people and blah, blah, all of this sort of stuff. And then once people come to the event, again, if they sign up at the event, they've got certain flows that they go into, or if they don't sign up, they've got other flows that they go into. And that means that all of the leads that come in from my ads are being nurtured through every single stage of the process, and I'm not involved at all. I don't have to do anything unless someone replies to the text messages and the AI doesn't know how to reply, then we jump in then. But besides that, I don't have to do anything. Like I just design the event, I rock up to the event, I present, I do my sell, and then we get a bunch of clients. And then people get nurtured on the back end. And if they didn't sell, like they didn't buy at that event, then they come back to the next event. And so it just gives you so much leverage, like we were talking about at the start of the episode, because you're not involved in every step of the process. But I know some clients that I have, they don't have something like Go High Level set up, and they're just tracking leads in a spreadsheet. And I'm like tearing my hair out trying to get them to use Go High Level or something like that, because it just doesn't make sense. As the business owner, you shouldn't be doing email follow-ups or text message follow-ups. Like you need better leverage on your time. Your time is much better spent in other areas, especially if you're confident enough to run events. You should be focusing on the content that you're going to be speaking at. You should be focusing on the transformation and the experience that you're providing for people at the event, not doing all your follow-ups and texting all of the leads.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's the perfect thing to wrap up on. This has been fun. What's the best way to people to find you?
Yeah, so you can search Taylor.Victoria on any social media platforms, or She's Making Millions if you're a lady listening and you'd like to join the movement, or for guys, you can also follow along if you want to just come and support the girls. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've had so much fun.
Great. It's been fun. Thanks.
Yeah.